Hi, good morning. It's Professor Ramser, English C1000, and today is Monday, and it is Monday the 17th. So screen share. Um, Sharing the home page on Canvas. Let's take a look at what we have going on this week. You submitted your final essay. I think I have a few left to grade. Want to go over a couple of things I've noticed and the ones I have looked at. And then we'll go over what we have come up this week. This week is the week 14, so it's getting pretty close to the end. We're just focused on essay 6 now. We have the proposal, and I answered, I think, all your proposals that you submitted. The more specific you are, the better it's going to be for you. Simply writing, I'm going to write this when I can, or in the evening, or it's not as good as it should be. And the reason is because it's important that you create a schedule to block out time for not only for this course, but for your other, history or math or science or biology. And the reason I'm saying that you need to schedule the time out for these courses is because our brains work in sort of a pattern, a rhythm, and to get into the rhythm of writing requires a certain amount of detox or detachment from these other rhythms, whether it's your work or personal life or the other studies that you have going on, to get into the idea, the framework of writing, reading and writing, and especially with MLA, which is very subjective and a more action verb oriented. I found that when I was switching from another subject to math, for example, I needed a little bit more time because it was hard for me to get into a framework mindset for me to look at algebra problems. And this is only algebra for me. So the reason the schedule is it helps you organize 15 minutes, 30-minute blocks so you can take care of these elements of your courses while you can. Anyway, so your proposal is looking for something more specific. It's going to help you going forward. But moving on, we have the rough draft and outline due this weekend. Refer to your outline template that you have to organize the outline. The outline is not a rough draft. The rough draft is written sentences, 5 to 7 sentences in each paragraph. You have a topic sentence, supporting sentences, and a transition sentence. You'll have 2 citations in each paragraph. They're well integrated, no floating quotes, no block quotes. We'll go over that here in a second. Do not use AI to write for you. You're going to get a 0 on the assignment, and some students already have for essay 5, but it's not going to improve your writing. So use AI for doing research. That's great. Collect all the data that you can. That's smart. But if you let AI do the writing for you, you'll receive a 0 on the assignment. And I know that LASSA and other colleges are looking at what the next step is in some sort of disciplinary action for those students who just aren't getting it. AI is the equivalent of having your older brother, sister, aunt, uncle write your paper for you. It's the same thing. It doesn't work. So, talked about AI, talked about the proposal. Let's take a look at a couple of things I put up here for the Emily format and block quotes and floating quotes. Those are some of the things I noticed in essay 5. So on the screen, let me stop share and reshare just in case for whatever reason it didn't toggle over. Okay, so on the screen is an Emily formatted essay. You don't necessarily need to be able to read the words or the letters in the words, but can sort of see, get a sense of what the visual is that the spacing between each of these lines is exactly the same. I'm going to see if I can do this here. Can I? No. Okay. So I'm going to open it up and another I'm going to open it up in another window. Okay, not that one. I'm looking at things I've downloaded and set up for this. Okay, not that one. Okay, so I'm going to screen share this image. Okay, so here we have the Emily formatted essay on the screen, and I'm going to rotate it so you're looking at it upside down. This is probably one of the better ways for you to see what I'm talking about. So you certainly cannot read the words. I guess maybe some could. Anyway, so but you can look at the spacing between each of the lines. It's consistent, it's even, it's the same. So when an essay is has double space between each line, this is what it will look like. So this is your goal, to have each line spaced from the next line in the same distance, the same spacing. And you'll notice on the first page, this is the first page that is upside down. On the bottom left-hand corner on your screen is what's called a running header. It appears in the top right-hand corner of your essay. This is your last name and the page number. To create the running header on your document, click on the menu tab on the top where it says page number. Click on that. You'll locate a page number that's going to be in the upper right-hand square of your essay. Click on that and add your name before the number. Space bar once or twice to create a distance between your last name and the page number, and then you'll have it on. And on the screen here, you have what's okay. So my Zoom link went out, so I'm not sure how much was covered. So I will screen share this. I'll go back and start at the beginning, just in case for some reason it got lost. So this is an Emily formatted essay on the screen. The lines are spaced evenly. That's called double space between each line. Then the upper right-hand corner is the running header, last name and page number. To create that, go to your document where it says page number in the menu bar on the top. Click on that and select the upper right-hand corner for that page number, and then insert your name before the page number and tap spacebar before it. Create a little adjustment between your name and the number. On the upper left-hand corner of your document is called the header. That's your name, professor name, name of the course, and the date. And then you have the title. The title is centered, and the title is suggestive and an indication of what the essay is about. It is not essay 6. It is not summary of 1984. It is not George Orwell's 1984. The title of your essay is specific to what you're writing about. So take a look at your thesis statement. What's your argument you're trying to make? That'll be connected to your title of the essay. So I shown earlier And I'll repeat it just in case it wasn't caught when we lost the Zoom connection. If you take your essay and place it upside down as I have on the screen, you'll notice that each line is evenly spaced between the line above it, and the line below it. So an MLA formatted essay, like APA and like Chicago, has this spacing format. Every line is evenly spaced from one line to the next line, from the beginning word on the page to the last word on the works cited page. It's all evenly spaced. That's MLA formatted. So let's stop share there. Let me go back to the screen on Canvas. So this is where we had started at the beginning of this Zoom recording. So here we have under MLA format and block quotes and floating quotes. This is the page that I included into this week 14 of English C1000. You have a sample essay there with some indication in the margin what it's doing. The next one is what a block quote looks like. So a block quote is 4 lines or more, and it has its own separate format. Now, for the essays in this course, block quotes are not going to help you because the essay is not that long. It's 1,500 words long. If your essay is 2, 4, 5,000 words long, 10 pages long, then a block quote might be useful. Otherwise, you're just occupying space. The idea is that you have at least 4 to 5 sentences of analysis for each line you're quoting. So if you have 4 lines or more, in this case, you have 6, 7 lines on the screen there, there should be at least 20 lines of analysis of this chunk of data. If you're not analyzing this chunk of data, this large text, then what you're doing is you're making the reader do all the hard work, and that's your job as a writer. You're supposed to write and analyze what you've read and interpret it for your reader. If you're simply dumping quotes into your essay, like a block quote or like a floating quote, all you're doing is you're giving someone else this problem and making them do the work of analyzing it. That's not what's supposed to happen. That will not add to your grade, bottom line. But it's also, it's not helping your argument. You're trying to convince the reader that your perspective, your view, your interpretation on something is valid. And if you're dumping quotes like a block quote or a floating quote into the essay, you're making the reader, your reader, do all the heavy lifting, and that doesn't work. That's not critical analysis. That's just dumping quotes on a reader. So a floating quote is a quote that does not have an introduction with analysis and context. Here are some examples in red. So you have all these lines that are there, starting with a quotation mark and ending with a quotation mark. If there's not an introduction with an active verb signal phrase with analysis and context, these quoted words mean nothing. In my in-person classes, I would take off my shoe and hand it to a student as an example of a floating quote. It means nothing. The student doesn't know what the shoe means. I haven't introduced the shoe. No one understands why I'm giving him a shoe or her a shoe. So a floating quote is doing the same thing. It doesn't have an introduction. It doesn't have analysis. It does not have context. So it means nothing, zero. It is without interpretation. It is without analysis. It is without any connection to any other words on the page, because I don't know, the reader will not know these words that are on the screen. Long since I should have opened my eyes, ellipses, and true it is that I have delayed too long. Who's talking? Why are they talking? What eyes are open and what eyes are closed? Is there a time delay? And if so, how long was that? Is that seconds, minutes, hours, a lifetime? Long since, so is this a long time? Or is this a long a period of being without or being disconnected or being separated. All these questions. So when you dump a quote, a floating quote in the essay, the reader has no idea what you, the writer, are trying to do with these words. So the floating quote, like a block quote in these shorter essays, means nothing. It does not add to the analysis. So don't do it. You're not going to receive points for it. And this is a link here to a PDF that goes into more depth of what a floating quote is. So let's go back to modules, take a look at what's going on there. So I'll have the rough draft and outline. Net tutor, use net tutor as often as you can. I cannot stress it enough. It gives you some real in-depth feedback. You can take that feedback along with your second net tutor analysis and take a look at your outline, take a look at your thesis statement, take a look at your rough draft and go, okay, well, I could work on this part, right? Maybe the essay needs work on the topic sentences. Maybe the supporting evidence is not clear enough. It's not connected to the topic sentence in the paragraph. Maybe the topic sentences in the paragraph don't really connect back to an arguable thesis. Remember, thesis is three things. The first thing is the problem. Second thing is reaction by credible sources. And the third thing is how you're going to argue that your analysis of this problem, your solution for this problem, your idea on how best to manage this problem is, and whatever it is. So you got three parts to a thesis statement. So your topic sentences and each paragraph need to somehow connect back to that thesis statement, connect back to that argument you're making that the best way to handle this problem is ABC. So use NetTutor as often as you can. Take a look at your outline and your rough draft along with your thesis statement and the feedback from the NetTutor. That's for this week. Next week we'll have should have a peer review coming up soon. Where's the peer review? Not yet. I think peer review is not till later on. Okay, I'll try and add another peer review in maybe on week 15. And maybe next week. Maybe next week. Okay, something to think about. You should have at least one or two peer reviews before you submit the final draft, which will be due no later than the end of the semester, and the semester ends on the I think it's on the 19th, right? And I will open up the timed essay on December 12th. It'll be a Canvas shell assignment. You'll have a few days to complete it, but you really should only spend, no more than 2 or 3 hours. Time yourself, be honest. Do not use the internet. Do not Google something. I'm not looking for a research essay. I'm looking for you responding to the prompt with your best thoughts, your best analysis. So that'll be open for the first few days of week 17. The final draft of the essay will be due by the 18th. I know one student reached out to me and said that they're leaving the area earlier than the 18th, and can they submit their final draft before then? And I said, yes, I'll probably open this assignment tab up. So probably I'm guessing from the 15th on or so, you could probably submit it. Maybe even the 15th on is probably enough time for you to submit the final draft of essay 6. There'll be a reflection about the course. And to make accommodation for the one student, I'll open up this tab on, let's say, December 15th. So you have a few days to respond to that as well. So that's the last week timed in-class exam. It's about 2-3 hours. Time yourself. That's on the 17th. Net tutor, and I'll put in a peer review probably in week 16. And that's it. That's where we're at right now. We're in week 14, almost over. Yay. Anyway, any questions, reach out to me. I'll respond within a few hours, if not by the next day. And thank you so much. We're finally in our apartment. We were in an Airbnb before. I can't really tell much from there. But we're finally settling in and getting getting a schedule set up. So reach out to me. I'll respond as quickly as possible. And thanks so much. Bye-bye.